Aside from the legendary Linda Ronstadt making headlines for her masterpiece, she became the unexpected target of brutal shade from stars you'd never expect. From Donald Trump to J.D. Vance, here are the top 10 celebrities who hated Linda Ronstadt's guts. Number 1. J.D. Vance. In Linda's September 2024 post, she also came for J.D. Vance, Trump's running mate, for the derogatory comments that he made about single women, calling them childless cat ladies.
By a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives.
I raised 2 adopted children in Tucson as a single mum. They are both grown and living in their own houses. I live with a cat. Am I half a childless cat lady because I'm unmarried and didn't give birth to my kids? She replied with a picture of her with her cat. She finally wrapped up her lengthy message with a strong endorsement for Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz. Number 2. Donald Trump. Given Donald Trump's propensity for petty behavior, it is likely that he dislikes Linda Ronstadt due to her frequent media criticism of him. From his first presidential campaign, she had consistently expressed her displeasure. In September 2014, upon learning that Donald Trump would not only be holding a rally in her hometown of Tucson, Arizona, but also at the Linda Ronstadt Music Hall, Linda could not hold back her disdain for the event. She took to social media to share her thoughts. It saddens me to see the former president bring his hate show to Tucson, a town with deep Mexican-American roots and a joyful, tolerant spirit. I don't just deplore his toxic politics, his hatred of women, immigrants, and people of color, his criminality, dishonesty, and ignorance, although there's that. She also added, Trump first ran for president warning about rapists coming in from Mexico. I'm worried about keeping the rapist out of the White House. Number 3. Frank Zapper. Even though Frank Zapper never openly dissed Linda Ronstadt, there was no doubt that he was not a fan of her craft. Being one of the most outspoken and innovative musicians of his time, Frank did not pass up any chance to criticize the music industry, consumerism, and even fellow musicians, the group in which Linda Ronstadt happened to be. Frank's view on mainstream music was brutal, and he had a strong dislike for what he saw as commercial, polished, and overly safe pop rock, the kind that was more about image and sales than musical innovation. To him, turning music into a product meant to appeal to the masses rather than challenging them was a joke. So while Ronstadt was hugely talented, her chart-topping covers and radio-friendly appeal likely placed her in the exact category of artists Zapper was targeting. Number 4. Nelson George. Just like Robert Christgau, Nelson George was pissed that Linda appeared in Paul Simon's Graceland album. According to him, featuring her on an anti-apartheid song was one of the more dreadful things that could happen to the movement. He said it was like using gasoline to put out birthday candles. Simon tried defending Linda in an interview with Spin, saying, I know that her intention was never to support the government there. She made a mistake. She's extremely liberal in her political thinking and unquestionably anti-apartheid. However, Nelson and many others needed an apology from Linda and needed her to openly speak against the oppression going on in South Africa if she was truly sorry. Number 5. Robert Christgau. In May 1983, the United Nations listed Linda Ronstadt as one of the performers who supported apartheid when she agreed to perform 6 shows in Sun City, a resort where black people were forced to live. It wasn't as if she didn't know what the place represented. In fact, she was asked to step in at the last minute after Frank Sinatra and boxer Ray Boom Boom Mancini dropped out. However, the $500,000 pay was too enticing, and she accepted it. In an interview, Linda revealed, I only had 2 days to decide. I talked to people I trusted, even friends at Motown. They said, black artists go there, so we can't tell you not to. All Linda had to do was apologize for her actions, but instead, she refused, acting proud and stubborn about it, and that angered Robert Christgau. The arts shouldn't be boycotted, Linda said. No one should tell me where I can or can't perform. Robert did not hold back when he wrote about her. So I stopped paying this stiff-necked middlebrow art singer much mind, which, from her skinny tie period to her Aaron Neville exploitation, was no great sacrifice. I was especially revolted by the way she stifled pop standards beneath Nelson Riddle's arrangements and her moderately gorgeous voice. He also criticized people who praised her for bringing rock star power to old-style songs, saying that with her singing, those songs lost their original meaning or power. when Paul Simon featured Linda on his hit album Graceland, Robert Christgau wrote, "Even if the lyric called for total US divestiture, Ronstadt's presence on Graceland would be a slap in the face to the world anti-apartheid movement." Number 6. Mike Pompeo. In Mike Pompeo's case, all he had to do to fall out of Linda Ronstadt's graces was to work for the president. Linda had always been vocal about her dislike for Donald Trump and his policies, but it did not stop the Secretary of State from inviting her to a State Department event honoring the year's Kennedy Center Award winners on December 9, 2019. During Pompeo's opening speech, he playfully commented, "Ms. Ronstadt, thank you and congratulations. I just want to know when I will be loved." This was in reference to her old song, "When Will I Be Loved?" However, Linda did not share the same enthusiasm as him and was not going to play along. When it was her turn to speak in front of the over 200 guests, she wasted no time in attacking the Secretary of State. "I'd like to say to Mr. Pompeo, who wonders when he'll be loved, it's when he stops supporting Donald Trump."
I'd like to say to Mr. Pompeo, he wonders when he's going to be loved, when he stops enabling Donald Trump.
To say that the room was stunned is an understatement. Celebrities speaking about politics, especially against the ruling government, is like them putting an axe to their career, but Linda couldn't have cared less. Number 7. Elvis Costello. This icon was also far from happy when he first heard Linda Ronstadt's version of his song Allison. According to Costello, Linda's version lacked the emotional depth of his original and was unnecessary. He then went on to make further comments. "But I didn't mind spending the money that she earned me." When Linda was getting backlashed for performing in Sun City, Costello donated the royalties from Ronstadt's version to the African National Congress. Later, Ronstadt's team contacted Costello to see if he had any additional songs she could sing, and he sent her 3, which she included for her album, Mad Love. When the album dropped, Costello once again didn't like her versions and made more negative remarks. However, years later, his views have softened, and he has since apologized for being too harsh and spoken more kindly about Ronstadt and her work. Number 8. Bill Timmons. In 2004, Linda Ronstadt was kicked out of the Aladdin Hotel after giving a shout-out to the controversial filmmaker Michael Moore on stage. Just before the disgraceful showdown, the hotel was packed with fans who were enjoying her performance until she decided to get political. I'd like to dedicate this song to Michael Moore. I think he's a great American. Moore got himself into hot water with his political documentary Fahrenheit 9/11, and the crowd wasn't having Linda's crusade. They had paid for a musical concert, not a political campaign. Their cheers quickly turned into boos. Some even walk away from the event. Bill Timmons, the hotel president, was in the crowd that night and didn't like what she said. But most importantly, he didn't like the fact that he was losing guests. So, he immediately told security to escort Linda to her bus. She wasn't allowed to retrieve her belongings and also had things sent to her from her hotel room, making it clear she wasn't welcome back. Bill revealed in an interview, "Our first and only priority is the enjoyment of our customers. I made the decision to ask Miss Ronstadt to leave the hotel. A situation like that can easily turn ugly, and I didn't want anything more to come out of it." Linda and Bill then went back and forth publicly about how unprofessional they both thought they were. Number 9. Dolly Parton. In 1987, Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Emmylou Harris, 3 of the most beloved voices in country music, collaborated on an album titled Trio, which became an instant hit. The album sold millions and even won them a Grammy. However, when it was time to make the second album, frequent clashes between Dolly and Linda made the project almost impossible to complete. Things were so bad that Dolly once joked that the album could have been named The Three Tempers, and her main problem was how slow Linda worked. "Ronstadt loves to work in the studio, and works so slow it drives me nuts," Parton said. "I wanted to say, 'Wake up, bitch, I got stuff to do.'" Recording began in 1994, but the album was not released until 1999, as the group could not agree on almost everything. In response, Linda admitted that working with Parton was tough. Would just roll off her, she does it her way, and that's it. Despite all the trouble, the second album also earned a Grammy nomination for Best Country Album, and their hit song After the Gold Rush won for Best Country Collaboration with Vocals. Number 10. Chuck Berry. Most legends would probably be happy if they heard the younger generation bringing their songs back to life with covers, but in Chuck Berry's case, it was quite different. In 1987, Linda made a cover of Chuck Berry's Back in the USA, and within a month, it climbed to number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 and became one of the most played songs in Detroit. One would have guessed that Chuck was excited about the cover, because 2 months after she released it, he invited her to take the stage with him on his 60th birthday. Well, the joint performance was supposed to be a stunt to disgrace Linda in front of the public. She was told to rehearse the song in the key of C. However, when the live session started, Berry played it in G. The plan was to make her look as unprofessional and talentless as possible. However, Linda surprisingly caught on and sang perfectly. No missed notes, no signs of struggle. Still, she wasn't happy. Immediately after the set, she walked straight off the stage and straight into her limo and left. Her duet with Berry was used in the concert film Hail, Hail, Rock and Roll, but getting her to approve its release wasn't easy. According to one of the crew, she was still so annoyed they almost didn't get her to sign off on it. And there you have it. 10 celebs who threw shade at Linda Ronstadt and lived to tell the tale. Whether you're Team Dolly, Team Trump, or just here for the drama, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, who do you think threw the shadiest diss?